Hi. Okay, so the last video wasn't particularly brilliant. I thought the video itself actually was okay. It's just the volume. And I figured out what went wrong was that I had it in a stand, my phone, that is, and the microphone is on the underneath. So obviously it blocked the sound. So I'm hoping this will help with that. Um, so today I'm really lucky. I've got one of the best actresses, hand models that you could ask for. Because, as some of you may know, I have a varied career, of which I do. Oh, I have done numerous jobs, but enjoyed all of them. So, apart from nursing and adult learning and adult education, I've also I also trained as a massage therapist. I make great aromatherapy potions. I don't do from scratch, but I do blend for specific ailments, of which I've had good feedback on those as well. All of that, the reason I'm saying it is because it's in relation to what I wanted to set up the Facebook page or group for, is about taking care of ourselves, looking at easy ways of doing that without it costing too much, without it feeling like a task. And today, what I wanted to do is to share something that could be, I'm just moving around a bit, something that could be done at home. It's reflexology with the hand. That's massaging and relieving tension through and relaxing by using a very simplistic way of massaging that you don't need to be trained, you don't need to go anywhere particularly for it. Yes, it does require another person to that you can do a mutual exchange for, but also it is something that's relatively straightforward to do for yourself as well. So also I'd like to chat about some of the, I've got my sheet here because it helps me to remember age, all that. Sorry if I look a bit puffy-eyed. No, I haven't been having a moment to cry. I have got hay fever at the moment, which is a bit of a nightmare. And I'm just sneezing, I've got a runny nose, everything. I've managed to get the little ones to sleep. If you take a look, I think you can see them. Little pups sleeping. I hope you can see them. If you can't, it's just to do with the way I do everything. So it's looking at the moment, so I'm waiting for my actress to come along to model for us, but she's, being just doing it in her own time. Actresses think she wasn't getting paid or something. So let's think about what symptoms of stress present as. So one of them is about how it feels. It's that feelings, the feelings of what does that feel like. So it can present itself as, we all know this one, feeling anxious. So we can feel really anxious, and that can manifest in lots and lots of ways. As you may not have heard in the last one, it can be here where it can be a bit of a nervous cough. It can be a needing to clear the throat because something you want to say, you've just got this ball there that prevents you from saying it, and for all sorts of reasons, and anxiety can come that way. It's that ball in your stomach that just won't go away and just keeps niggling away. We can feel scared. We could be scared of something, but we're not sure what is it. It's not like we're being chased by a lion or a tiger, but it can have that kind of real scared feeling that we can have, and that can be a symptom of stress. And when we talk about stress, remember we all have stress, and lots of things trigger us to be stressed. It's not something to be concerned enough about that you think it's not okay to have stress. It's, again, as I talked about before, how do we manage the stresses of day-to-day life, regardless of situations. And sometimes we can manage it and sometimes we can't. Okay, so I can symptom of within the feelings section. You can feel a bit more irritable. You can be irritated with yourself, which I've done that. I've been like, why can't I can't even make a proper cup of tea actually, and everyone knows how much I love my tea. And on some days, I get irritated with myself because it's not quite the way I wanted it, and then I think it's because I've lost the ability to make a simple cup of tea. But it probably isn't that. It's probably 10 other things that were a build up to that point. So I get irritated myself. Then somebody very thoughtfully will say, I'll make you a cup of tea. And no, no, thank you. I can manage it by myself. And I might say it in an irritated way, but I'm not irritated with them. I'm irritated because this is a feeling that I have, because there's something that I haven't dealt with just yet, possibly. I can feel moody. And none of us like to be told or called out on that. You're being a bit moody today. I said something to you. You responded in a particular way. I'm not sure why. What did I do? And I'm sure we've all been there. Okay. How many of us go, you know what? Yeah, I am a bit moody today, but I'm not sure why I'm a bit moody. And it might be because we don't want to say those words. It's because I feel stressed. Because then we've admitted it, then we feel like we should do something about it. And that seems like an enormous, ginormous task. Some of the behaviours that we might display if we're showing symptoms of ongoing stress, we could cry for no apparent reason. If you relate that to some of those feelings, those underlying feelings that are bubbling away there, we can act quite impulsively. I don't know, going out and buying something. But at the moment, maybe not going out and buying something. We might be going online and buying things that we think we should have because our freedom isn't what it used to be. Or why can't we have it? So I'm just going to buy it anyway. Then it arrives and we go, probably was a bit impulsive. Probably didn't need the pink Cadillac after all. Stuff like that. It can be talking in a higher pitched voice. It's a behavior that you think and you feel to yourself that you're talking quite normal, but somebody happens to say, wow, that was a bit loud, that was a bit sharp, what's going on? And it takes you back and you're like, thought I was doing okay actually. I'm sure you've all had of these. And again, the grinding teeth, you may not have heard that in my last video. The grinding teeth, we can tend to do in our sleep. I do a lot of grinding teeth, have done since forever. And finally, I think it was last year or the year before even, it might have been, finally agreed that I grind my teeth, keeping my husband awake, I think. But also when I realised my teeth were being ground down quite a bit, that I got a mouth guard and that helped with that. But it taught me what grinding teeth was, and that I didn't probably just do it in my sleep, probably do it during the day too when I'm nervous about something, when I'm worried about a task that I think I may not be able to do. And maybe others go, oh, of course you can do that. But in my mind, I'm going, no, I don't think I can. And I might grind my teeth without realising it. For some of us, I don't drink alcohol, but I know I probably increase my tea drinking, which is a behaviour that sometimes I don't need to drink as much tea, but it's my go-to. Like, okay, I best have a cup of tea if I need to think about something. For others, it might be alcohol. I don't have anything against alcohol. I just don't drink it, and it doesn't like me, and I don't like it particularly. But how much alcohol do we need to make us feel a little bit more relaxed? It's looking at those sort of things. So our behaviours might change around those sort of things. Could be accident prone, believe it or not. Could stop being a bit more clumsy, dropping things, which could come from the irritation feeling. It could come from just throwing things, because you might be a bit moody and you might want to just throw something because it might feel better. And for some, it's a loss of appetite. I definitely have a loss of appetite when I don't feel like I'm comfortable to enjoy some food and just sit, relax and enjoy it. For others, it might be, you know what, I just want to eat more food and I don't care what it is, when it is, or what time of day it is, I'm just going to eat it anyway. And as equally as somebody might find that difficult to understand, I have a loss of appetite during stress. I might find it difficult to understand how anybody can consume a lot of food. So either or, whatever behaviours, it's your behaviour. It's not what somebody else tells you to have. Your behaviour is yours. It's your responsibility. It's up to us on how we decide when that isn't right for us and not necessarily for someone else. So don't ever beat yourself up about stuff like that. Okay. So what are the thoughts? So we talked about, that's the feelings. That's some of the behaviours. Obviously, there's an endless list of symptoms of stress. What are the thoughts that might be going on if we're under some stress or we're not dealing with things? So it could be that fear of failing at the smallest thing. We might have been the best lasagna maker ever. And suddenly you can't get that quite right. For me, my cups of tea, I think, oh my God, I'm failing. I can't even make a cup of tea. What is going on? Because I know I'm not a very good cook. I accept that. I don't worry about that. I accept it. It's something I'm not particularly interested in. It's something I'm not particularly good at, but I accept it. It's fine. It's not a problem. And the reason, which is a good thing that I don't have the biggest of appetites, it's okay because I'm not worried about the food. Obviously, if I'm feeding someone, then I need to be able to cook a little bit. But I don't have a fear of failing at it because this sounds terrible. It's an expectation. So when it's a success, I celebrate it. When I've made something and it actually does taste nice, that's a celebration. I'm not too worried about the other aspect of it because that's the norm, if there is such a thing, to me. Difficulty in concentrating. So you might be thinking you're listening very carefully to when someone's telling you something about them, but the concentration isn't there, and you find yourself again saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, what was that? I wasn't quite listening." So the concentration, that's what's going on up here. Could be preoccupied. Could be preoccupied with all kinds of things. But if someone was to ask you, oh, you look like you're in a distant place, what's on your mind? And you sort of look, and that's where maybe a bit of confusion comes in. You go, oh no, actually, I wasn't aware that I was off somewhere else. Wasn't thinking about it. Forgetfulness. That's a tough one because we can blame forgetfulness on all sorts of things. Again, it's, am I dehydrated? Am I too busy? I've got too much going on. It's all kinds of things, but it can also be a symptom of stress if it's a regular occurrence. The anxiety, being flooded with adrenaline, all of those feelings, then the body behaves in a certain way, the mind behaves in a certain way, and then we could be overthinking. Overthinking is a really tough one. You hear some people say, well, I just can't stop thinking about everything. And it's very easy to go in and be a rescuer at that point and go, okay, well, it's easy. Let me take some of that stuff off you. And then people are like, but I don't know what to give you. I don't know what I shouldn't be thinking about and what I do need to think about. So these are all symptoms as well. What's the physiological symptom of stress? Sweaty hands. Well, come on, we've all had those. I've had them, definitely, when I've facilitated in a large group, or I've been asked to learn something new that I know I need to do, but suddenly I do have to do it and someone's watching me do it, and that brings me out into quite a cold sweat, but particularly in my hands. The heart rate, that increased heart rate. I don't know about anybody else. If you felt that, that is that pounding in your chest, which causes those other feelings, that build up of that, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. My heart is racing, I'm sweating, I'm feeling a bit sick. That's that flood of adrenaline. And as I said, I think in my previous one, but again, probably didn't hear it, is that, like, you know, you're on a roller coaster, and for some that's great fun, and for others that really is no fun whatsoever. Nobody can convince you of it. Kind of dryness of the mouth. So going back to that, we're concerned at the moment when people are coughing. If someone's feeling nervous about somebody else, being present and being too close to them at the moment, it could be igniting some of us to have that dry cough and to feel like our throat is closing up. Headaches, you can have pains in the neck, and your immune system. So all these physiologicals, your immune system could be low, so that could be having more colds than usual, that you just generally feel unwell, and that could disturb your sleep, feeling tired. You can't explain why you're tired. You just say, oh, I'm just exhausted. So there's some of the symptoms of stress, which I'm sure at some stage or another we've all experienced them. So the next part I'll be doing is looking at learning very basic hand reflexology, hand massage, which will be fairly straightforward. So I'm hoping that's all going to work out. I'm going to stop talking and see you in a bit to demonstrate how to do that and how to learn how to do that. Okay, see you in a bit.